Yo, what's going on, everybody? It's Straight Outta Boston, and today we're back for episode number 10 of my Brooklyn Nets and MyLeague series here in NBA 2K16. Today we're taking on the Houston Rockets. Let's kick it to Shaq, Ernie, and Kenny.
We'll be watching Dwight Howard patrolling the paint tonight. He's no longer the unquestioned best center in the NBA, but there are times, Shaq, where he can still be a dominant force.
Yeah, he still has that physical advantage, Ernie, against 99% of the guys in the post. That's what I've been saying for a long time. And he does this every now and then, but that's what I've been saying for a long time. 28 and 10, I think he could do it. And every now and then, he can do that.
Well, Superman is in the building.
Don't you say it.
Okay,
Don't you say it.
Okay, I thought he was.
If you say it again, I'm going to reach across this table.
I won't say it anymore.
Okay.
But his defense is still huge, and that also can win basketball games. And he has been a defensive stopper regardless of his offensive efforts.
I'll let you say it one more time.
Superman is not in the building. He's over here sitting with us. That's
Don't try to butter me up. You can't butter up this biscuit.
That's it for now as we send you to Kevin Harlan and the rest of the 2K sports crew.
All right, so some interesting dialogue on Dwight Howard there, but we're taking on the Houston Rockets, one of the most loaded teams in a very loaded Western Conference. They're a team that I certainly think could win an NBA title this year. They are loaded 1 through 10. They've got great depth all around, and I really liked their offseason. They, for one, are going to be more healthy this year. Presumably, they were without Patrick Beverly and Donatas Montejunas come playoff time last year. I think they missed those guys, especially when taking on the Warriors. They really didn't have anyone to throw at Steph Curry. They had Jason Terry covering Klay Thompson for a bit in that series. But anyway, so I think Beverly's going to be a good addition, or a good, they'll get him back. And then, of course, they add Ty Lawson, who I would probably still start Beverly over Lawson and bring Lawson off the bench if he would be cool with that. But either way, if he is playing with James Harden a lot, those two guys should be able to play pretty well off each other. Although the backcourt or the frontcourt defense, the backcourt defense, will not be that great. But either way, so this is a very loaded team, is my point, and this is a very good test for the Nets. It's our first gameplay episode here in season number 2. We made a lot of off-season additions. This is a team that I expect to make the playoffs in the Eastern Conference. If we don't do that, I'd be pretty disappointed. We have plenty of talent on this roster. I think we made a lot of good smart signings, a lot of young players, some high ceilings on the team. There's Bowler with the bucket around the rim, falling into the cameraman there. I'm sure the photographers are not going to be happy about that. But there's Corey Brewer with the step back. He nails the 3, so the Rockets are up 6 right now. And here we come, though, on the ensuing possession. It's Lance Stevenson with the ball, looking for Terrence Ross, and that is the immediate thing you're going to notice about this year's team that is going to be different than last year's team. We are shooting the ball a lot more from outside. I talked about it towards the second half of last season. I wanted to add three-point shooting to the roster in the summer, and we did just that. We added a lot of three-point shooting, a lot of guys who fit sort of the profile of the kind of wing that I've wanted. I've talked about it before, athletic guys who can run and who can shoot a little bit. They don't necessarily have to be ball handlers. They don't necessarily have to be great passers or, anything of the like. I just sort of want them to be able to, create for our offense, but sort of be benefactors of our offense, just because I like to shoot a lot of threes and I like to run the fast break, so... Anyway, there's Harrison Barnes hitting the and one. He's one of the guys we signed this year. Also, you'll see both teams rocking the throwback jerseys this game. In my opinion, the Rockets actually kind of look like the Cavs with their colorway right now. But this is both teams wore these uniforms. Well, I guess actually these aren't. They don't have the Nets uniforms that they wore in the early '90s that I really like. That are the same colorway. This is the ABA uniform they have when they were the New York Nets, but. Still, it was sort of like a 90s-esque matchup. There's an alley-oop, though. We had a lot of alley-oops this game as well. Harrison Barnes on the fast break was the man who was finishing a lot of those alley-oops. But there's Cody Zeller with the and one, and this is the real hole for this team in Houston, at least in this save. I thought their power forward, they don't have Montejunas anymore. They had Cody Zeller starting there. I think they had Terrence Jones coming off the bench. I'd probably start Jones over Zeller. I don't really think Cody Zeller's any good. But either way, Lawson finding Trevor Ariza, who was in the second year of that 4-year contract he signed with Houston last offseason. He was knocking down shots all day today. Misses that one, but it's Dwight. And Dwight is probably the most polarizing player on this Houston Rockets team. I've always been a big Dwight Howard fan. I always thought he was such a good player. And now, unfortunately, he's just never able to stay healthy. He's only 28, 29 years old, but remember, he did come to the NBA straight out of high school, and that will put a lot of miles on your body if you do that kind of thing. So Howard's sort of feeling the effects of old age maybe a little earlier than we might have expected, but I just think it's so hard for him to hold up now. But, I mean, Daryl Morey said it in an interview with Jim Rome last week, I believe, on the radio. I overheard it, and, Morey said that each of the last, 3 playoff series that the Rockets have played in since they got Dwight, he's been been their best player, and I think that's generally been true. You know, and then it was tough in the Golden State series last year where he just couldn't play too often, but I don't know, he could have made a difference. You know, if you can defend the interior even against a good perimeter jump shooting team like Golden State, it could still make such a difference. So I don't know, those are just my thoughts on Dwight Howard. I thought it would be an interesting little topic for this video. But there's Derek Favors to the bucket, so he's one of our newer additions too, and he had a really good game today. It wasn't spectacular. It took me, you know, really until the second half to get going with him. The first half I sort of struggled to see what he could do, what he couldn't do in terms of having the ball in his hands, you know, moving without the ball on defense and stuff, etc., etc. So anyway, there's another alley-oop to Harrison Barnes. So this time it's Eric Gordon throwing that one up to him, and Barnes slams that down two-handed. But we're down 11 right now, 60-49 early in the third. Favors to the bucket, no good. Clarkson on the rebound gives it to Barnes for the midi. His jumper is good. Not sure why he wasn't standing at the three-point line, but that is besides the point. Zeller with the ball now finds Harden in the corner. That's going to be a knockdown three. So Houston back up by 12 right now, 65-53. Brooklyn hanging around, but a lot of turnovers this game. We struggled. You know, hopefully our turnovers will be down this year now that we have some competent point guards like Marcus Smart and Jordan Clarkson. But still, it was a big problem today, and we'll have to keep an eye on it as the season goes on. Lopez to the bucket, misses, but gets his own offensive rebound, puts it back at him, so we actually get it down to 6 right now, and it is Pat Beverly with the ball. He tries to cross over, almost turns it over, but finds Harden foot on the line. Actually, he was a good foot inside of the line there. And that would be a long two. So Brewer with the ball in the fast break finds Beverly. Beverly finds his man, and that is going to be a bucket for Mike Scott, the former Atlanta Hawk, who be a good fit on this Houston team. You know, they like to run a lot of small ball, like to play a lot of 4 out, and Mike Scott can certainly stretch the floor at the power forward position, so I can see why Joe Morey might want to pick him up in the future. But we are at the end of the third here. Houston on top, 79-70. That is the score right now as we start the fourth. Beverly with the ball in the inbound finds Ty Lawson. Lawson pulls up. He knocks down the jumper off the glass. The bank is open here in Houston, and actually we're here in Brooklyn, excuse me, at the Barclays Center, so it's an 11-point game. But it is Harrison Barnes to the bucket using that strength, and Barnes, a guy who a lot of people think might get a max contract this upcoming offseason. You know, obviously it's still 9 months away, but we got him for pretty cheap, and hopefully, you know, he can display why so many people think he has such a high ceiling there in Golden State. Clarkson, though, nice little pick and roll here with Favors to the bucket, one-handed slam. So Favors, I think, finished with 18 points on 16 shots. Like I said, the end of game numbers might not look so great, but I think he had 14 points in the second half on 7 of 10 shooting, and he was just really started to play well with him as we got going to the second half here. He just absolutely slams it on Cody Zeller, even though it wasn't really a clean dunk. Still a pretty nice play. Now Patrick Beverly bringing it up, pulls up for 3. I didn't know Beverly had that in his arsenal. He knocks that down. 93-78 now is the score, and it's Dwight with the ball being covered by Brook Lopez. Lopez playing a little bit banged up this game. He's got that little white wrap on his left ankle. I think it's actually just a brace, not a wrap, but he did twist an ankle in the second game of the season. This is only the third game, so he was still feeling the effects of it a little bit today, but for the most part was good to go. And he didn't really have that great of a game, you know, going up against Dwight Howard. It's such a tough matchup. Those two were almost traded for each other. That was a long rumored trade when Dwight was in Orlando. A lot of people thought he might go to New Jersey as they were on the verge of moving to Brooklyn, and of course when they were first moving to Brooklyn, it seemed like that was going to be the hot destination for all the free agents. Unfortunately for them, they haven't really attracted anybody. Now, some part of that's because they've tied up a lot of their cap space in guys like Brook Lopez, Joe Johnson, and then, of course, they made the trade for KG and Paul Pierce. But, you know, still, Brooklyn could at some point be, you know, especially if they get a good team again. I mean, that's the first thing. And that's, you know, more than market size at this point in today's NBA. I think people just want to win. And I think, you know, if you have a winning team, then maybe your market, if you're in a Brooklyn or in New York, then it can play in. Or, you know, if you're in LA, you said no one signed with the Lakers this offseason because, you know, they're not good. And they're not going to be good, you know, for the next couple of years, most likely. So, anyway, that is a small little rant there. But anyway, we're going to lose 107-89. To take a look at the final box score, so you can see we shot 15 less shots than them, and I think we had 10 turnovers. We had the same amount of turnovers as them actually, but so I don't know then. I don't know what that is about why we always shoot less field goals than them. I thought we had more turnovers, but I guess it wasn't such a big gap that it should have been. Well, I don't know. Whatever. Either way, so take a look at the box score. That is going to do it for me. You can see Favors had 18-7, had a nice game out of him. Dwight with 18-14, great game from him. 3 blocks, playing well on both ends of the floor. But that's going to do it. Hope you guys enjoy. Thanks for watching, and enjoy the 2K postgame show.
Many thanks, Kevin. So now we move on to our Jordan player of the game, Dwight Howard. He's racked up a double-double with points and rebounds tonight, and that made the difference. A terrific effort on both sides of the floor. How'd you feel about his performance, Kenny?
He was dead on from the field tonight, guys. I'd call his performance economical because there was no wasted opportunities. He took advantage of every good look he got. I mean, everything he put up was going in.
Well, when Dwight uses his physical presence and athleticism to the max, he's nearly impossible to stop. He's got the body of a center, but the hops of a swing man. Just got to put it all together now.
And that brings us to the end of our broadcast for this evening. For Kenny Smith, Shaquille O'Neal, Kevin Harlan, and our illustrious 2K Sports crew, this is Ernie Johnson saying good night, and we'll see you again soon, but not soon enough.